Welcome back. Tomorrow is National First Ladies Day. Anita McBride was Chief of Staff to Laura Bush, First Lady. And she is currently the co-chair of the In Pursuit essay series, which honors the country's presidents and First Ladies. Anita McBride sat down with us to talk about all this, and here's part of our conversation. Anita, I'm endlessly fascinated with the In Pursuit project, and what I've learned is so far, small sample size, but it's important, the essays about First Ladies drawing more attention than essays about presidents.
Well, first of all, we're very grateful for your interest in Pursuit and helping us promote it, because it is getting traction, the essays on both the presidents and First Ladies. But that is a very interesting statistic, and one that doesn't surprise me. It may surprise some of my colleagues or others. But there is a gap in knowledge and a gap in literature on First Ladies. But they are having a moment. People are paying attention to their role in history. So I'm thrilled with these numbers.
And Anita, you have a very sharp perspective on this, having worked as a chief of staff to Laura Bush. There is this phrase, and I wonder if you're comfortable with it, soft power. It's just power. It's just a different kind. It's an alternate power, it seems to me.
I love the phrase soft power.
Okay, you do.
I do,
all right.
Because, you know, it conveys a number of things. Here is this unelected position, and we have to be honest about that, right? You have to be careful that you're not crossing the line from policy advocate to policy maker. When that has happened in history, it isn't always received very well. But that doesn't diminish or lessen the influence that a First Lady can have, either behind the scenes or sometimes more overtly. But it is a soft power, because not every problem comes to the desk of the First Lady, but it comes to the desk of the American president. So where a First Lady can help is powerful and influential.
Let's start with the first one, Martha. No one knew how to sort this out. Right. The imagery of it, the actuality of it. There was a constant debate about George Washington. Was he a king? Was he trying to create a king or around him? So if there's a king, there's got to be a queen, and she doesn't want that either, and they're both uncomfortable with that. They're struggling with it. Walk me through Martha a little bit.
Well, this is the burden of setting precedent for both of them, and this formation of a new nation, a new form of government that had never existed before, and it did fall on both Martha and George to create this new way that people, citizens, could live, where power is now vested in the people, not in the elected representative or his wife. But George Washington knew instinctively that his was a two-person job, as head of state and head of government. And as head of state, he needed the help of Martha Washington for the ceremonial duties, for creating the position in society and how this presidential partnership or this couple could operate. So lucky for George Washington, she was a very skilled hostess, and also had spent considerable time with General Washington in the encampments when he was fighting the Revolutionary War. So she, she was received in New York by President Washington, the new president, with great fanfare immediately, so that he could convey to the citizens of this new country her position was important. So she established sort of a social and societal network around her, where she combined this accessibility to the public, but also maintaining a certain level of formality, so that this new country would be seen as on par with the great, powers of Europe.
We have a sense of Abigail Adams and John Adams that we don't of Martha and George, because we have their letters.
Yes.
1,200 letters.
Extraordinary correspondence.
And as the essay about Abigail writes, writing a letter in those days was a much more involved process. It wasn't an email, it wasn't a text.
It wasn't a social media post.
No. It was a kind of oration of where you are and where your heart and head are in this particular moment. Because you're writing it all down.
That's right. Exactly.
And these two, Abigail and John, did that
for years. Yes. And think about the long separations that the two of them had, particularly he's helping to raise money for our Revolutionary War effort, or he's in Philadelphia at the Constitutional Convention Continental Congress. These long separations, in fact, the ones where he was overseas, she referred to as her widowhood.
Right.
But she was
and
helping.
She's running this enterprise in Braintree,
right.
Massachusetts. She is an entrepreneurial woman.
And educating
her
children and taking care, of her family, but also is an eyewitness account to extraordinary events in our revolution, including the Battle of Bunker Hill, which she, details. She and her young son, John Quincy, are watching that. And so that treasure trove of correspondence between John and Abigail is such a gift to history and documenting really the early years of our founding.
You can catch the rest of my conversation with Anita McBride on your favorite podcast platform.